Hi guys, Adrian here with Aaron DeFort. We are doing a quick little video to give you a little sample of what we're going to talk about in our upcoming 2011 Conscious Marketing Masterclass. So we thought it'd be a good idea to sit down and have a quick chat, maybe a little back and forth, and maybe bring out some topics that we might discuss in the next couple weeks. So, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good. You and I have met multiple times talking about this class, and we've kind of gone around thinking about what's most important, and we've kind of stuck with the idea of marketing consciously. I think as a culture we've sort of gone, we're comfortable with consuming consciously. We've talked about over the years, and it's been really the buzzwords, to buy local, and we've seen farmers markets flourish. I think we're accustomed to thinking consciously about where we're getting our goods and services. But maybe we're not quite there when it comes to selling our goods and services.
Right.
What do you think conscious marketing means, and how does it apply to small business owners in 2011?
Well, I think the best way to describe it is to compare it to what it's not, sometimes to compare and contrast to what I would call old school business or old school marketing. So we know that, from the advent of advertising, let's say when things really hit around the 1950s through the me generation in the 1980s, everything about business was about a competitive model. And it was about blanketing as many people as you can with your brand. So if you can be perceived as the biggest because you've got the biggest advertising budget and you can have the biggest billboards and the largest newspaper ads, then you can create a perception that you're also the best. Now with the advent of the internet, everything has changed. And especially as we move closer to 2012 and what we're calling the Aquarian Age, we're moving from a competitive model into a collaborative model. And this means that we have to depend on each other, work as a collective, and also it means that business has to become a lot more transparent because word of mouth spreads, as fast as the internet spreads. So authenticity is now a demand. It's not something you can just choose to do, it's something you have to be, because if you're not authentic, and if you don't have integrity in business, everyone's going to know very fast. So this has brought on a whole new, it's almost like we've been positively forced into spiritually evolving as marketers and as business people to have more integrity in business.
I think it's important to point out that we're not just talking about social media. I mean, social media is the obvious way of connecting, but I think it's a larger mindset too. We've sort of talked about that. We have some marketing gurus that we both share that we think have sort of some of the same kind of ideas. And one thing that we've talked about that they seem to share is kind of really finding that passion, why you got into business to begin with, and using that to sort of drive your business model. How do you connect the consciousness with that passion, and either following that path and starting a new business, or really focusing on that in your current business?
Well, before I was in small business marketing, after I was in small business marketing, I went into career coaching. And I discovered that there's this old book that says, do what you love and the money will follow. And this is a concept that I've seen proven time and time again with my clients and in my own life, that people are kind of waking up in the last generation here and saying, I really can't drag myself to work anymore doing something I don't enjoy doing. I have to either find a sense of purpose or passion, or I have to be contributing to the world in some way in business. There are few of us left who are just motivated by money. Of course we all want prosperity, but we want it to come as a result of doing something that we're motivated to do internally from here. So that extends into small business, and that if you can create a product or a service that you really have some belief behind, it's then easier to talk about it and create a tribe or a network of people around your product or service, because your passion just kind of makes everything easy to sell. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's never been easier to do that.
Yeah.
We talk about social media. I told you yesterday when I went and I got a beer and some food with a buddy of mine, catching up, and we're watching some games on TV, and 3 commercials came back to back to back.
Right.
That didn't display their website at all. It displayed their Facebook page, which is telling you that big businesses really are understanding that Facebook is an opportunity for connecting to consumers and clients in a new way that's never been possible before.
And you told me that was with Pizza Hut. So,
Pizza
example,
Hut, yeah.
what would Pizza Hut do with a Facebook page?
Well, I mean, there's so many things they can do. The easiest way is that, most obvious way is that they have automatic and immediate market research.
Right.
You know, when they're getting comments on their Facebook page, they're able to find out how old, what gender, where they live, you know, what their interests are. So they can really target, and they get a lot of feedback from not just what groups are eating their product or buying their product, but what their impressions are of their product.
Yeah, and yesterday you were talking to me about market research, how Facebook can be used for something like that. Tell me why that's important.
Well, I mean, our focus is on small business usually, and instead, in the old way of marketing, you know, you would put up a big billboard, and you would just sort of throw it against the wall and see if it stuck, and see maybe you got some business from it, but you weren't able to really have any measure of what effect it had. Now with something like Facebook, you get an immediate reaction of what sort of people are buying your product, and if you're a small business, you don't have the money to be able to put up the billboards. So now you have an idea of what sort of people you can really focus on, because these are the people responding to what you're giving, and they're the ones buying your product. So what you do is you focus on them and give them everything that they want, as much as you can. Be generous and give great products and give things away, and now they're rabid consumers. They're always going to go to you and buy from you.
Right, and we talked the other day about how once you've established a bit of a clientele, a client base, it's easy then to come at business from a service perspective, where you can then interact and communicate with them and ask your clients and your demographic, what do you need from a service like mine?
Exactly.
And then cater your products and service to what they're asking for, rather than old school business, which is to, on your own, come up with an idea and then do everything you can to create a perceived need.
Right.
So that your clients walk into your store not knowing that they had that need or that desire, but after you've done enough of a schmooze job on them in the sales process, they walk out thinking, oh, I think I do need this product.
Right.
That's a forceful form of selling and doing business that we just don't need to do anymore, since we have such instant communication with our potential clients now.
Absolutely. I think we sort of touched on a bunch of things, and it's almost been like a rambling conversation, but I think what's important is that we've identified that in 2011 and forever, as far as I can see, you have to market yourself consciously to your consumers. You have to be generous. You have to find that you're passionate about your business, which you really care about, and utilize things like social media, which is there to help you. Facebook's not just to catch up with friends from high school. If you're a business owner, it's really an awesome opportunity to do that sort of stuff. So with that said, there'll be lots of other nuggets too that we're going to talk about at our masterclass, but to sort of summarize and to go forward, what do you think people can take away from our masterclass practically that they can then apply to their own business?
Well, we've designed the class to be interactive, so they'll actually walk away with having gotten one-on-one custom coaching, either from other members of the group or from us. They'll walk away with ideas that they can implement the following day. So if you're coming to the class, bring a notebook and a pen, because we're going to give away a lot of free information, and literally some tips, some SEO, and some marketing brainstorms that they can take away with them and implement the next day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's February 3rd at the Basics, 6:30 p.m. You can go to varnamarketing.com. There's an events tab where you can see much more information. You probably actually maybe are seeing this from that website, so you probably don't even need to know that information. But there's a Facebook page, meetup page, aaronford.com. Lots of good information on both our sites. So we look forward to having this masterclass and hopefully more in the future.
So one thing I wanted to do is kind of give you a personal testimony for your business. When I first met you, we were at a meetup group that you were hosting, and you were teaching search engine optimization and online marketing to small business owners like myself. And I remember being so impressed and almost kind of shocked with what you did at that meetup, because you gave so much information away. You also did it in a way that made it tangible and easy for me to walk away and say, I can do this. But tell me why you believe that it's okay to just kind of give so much to clients who haven't paid you a dime yet. Tell me your philosophy on that, because I know you're pretty passionate about that idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple reasons, but I think the first thing is the fact that we're having this conversation months and months later, that for as long as you are in the business, you're going to think of me as that person, and you're going to refer me to other people.
Right.
Because, one, you got great information, but it's about the connection that I resonated with you, and you now recognize me as having that label, and so you're going to refer me to other people. I'm not necessarily going to give them a lot of free information. I leveraged you, not consciously, but sort
Right.
of, used that as a leverage to be able to get a lot more folks. So that's the most practical reason why you give and are generous in business. Another reason.
And I have referred to you to several
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
already, so it's it stands to reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's more philosophical, spiritual things of it too. That if you are going through your life and your business, hiding everything, hiding what you're capable of giving and your knowledge, and and you live and you activate your life in that sort of mindset, you're just gonna be closed off, and you have to open yourself up. And I'm not trying to get really, crazy about woohoo stuff, but there's something practical about just being authentic and generous, because you break through that barrier. You don't think of me as having my business. You think of me as me running my business. And that personal connection is really important for people. I mean, you don't buy from your local wherever because the store's great. You probably have a connection with the owner or the salesperson. You go to your favorite restaurant because you like the bartender or the server or the owner. And that connection is really important no matter what you do.
And I have a feeling of the other 4 or 5 business owners that were at that meetup where I met you, they all walked away with a very positive impression.
Sure. I hope so.
Yeah, so what it means long term is that, for a handful of people who came to that group, for all the people who came to that group, they will, if your name ever comes up or they ever have someone question them around, hey, who do you know who can do SEO and online marketing, I have a feeling your name will always come up. So it worked, in my opinion. Yeah,
and Clay Collins is a marketing sort of guru, I guess, and he has really high ticket items. I mean, thousands of dollars for programs and membership sites. And someone asks him, often they say, well, don't you have something that's affordable? He goes, yeah, but they're just free.
Right.
Like, he's able to give away such free stuff because he has such high-end stuff on the back end. So you can really structure your business in a way that gives away good stuff and has really high-end stuff, and that carries it all. And what you're doing is you have a much broader net when you give away free stuff, and people are impressed. So when they're ready to step up, when they trust you, when they know you give away good information, then they can buy your high-ticket item.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.